Devin Hester, you are ridiculous.
The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, we crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Shut up. See that? That's your IQ, buddy. 0.
Hungry Chicago, finally champions on this January day in New Orleans.
This is the Barely Qualified Podcast with your hosts, Nick Labris, Jason Maxwell, and Drew Bailey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Barely Qualified Podcast for yet another victory review show. I'm Jason Maxwell. With me, as always, are Drew Bailey and Nick Labris. Boys, the Chicago Bears, our Chicago Bears, are on a 4-game win streak. Let me just repeat that. Our Chicago Bears, a 4-game win streak, and bring their season record up to 4-2 under the Ben Johnson era. So on tonight's show, we're going to break down the Bears' victory over the Saints at Soldier Field, recap some other NFL news, predict the Bears' remaining schedule, and finish things up with our podium list. Before we get into the Bears win, I want to tell you a little bit about our friends over at Lola's Handcrafted Churros in downtown Lisle. Lola's offers up handcrafted churros from scratch, made to order and piping hot. It doesn't stop there. Lola's pairs these bad boys with ice cream sundaes. I'm talking s'mores, churro sundae, the matcha fruity pebbles, Nutella, and strawberry. The list goes on. Get a sundae, get a dozen of those bad boys. Just stop in for one. Whatever you do, you're going to love it. They got coffee, horchata, freshly made churros, ice cream. As a wise man once said, what more could you want? Check them out at Lola, Lola churros.com. Follow them on Insta and TikTok at Lola's Handcrafted Churros and let us know how you like it. Now let's get into it. Nick, do you want to take us away by recapping that beautiful Bears win on Sunday?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jay, as you mentioned, the Bears are on a 4-game win streak. Our humble beginnings, 0-2, are now sitting at 4-2. Very exciting. I mean, first 4-game win streak since 2018, which, if you guys are anything like me, 2018, when you say that year out loud, doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
We're talking 7 years ago. I had one infant child 7 years ago.
I had none.
Wild to think that it's been that long since the Bears have been on a 4-game win streak. But alas, we're here. We have a 4-game win streak. And honestly, the big thing, look, watching this game was a very familiar sight, I feel like, to a lot of Bears fans. Struggling offense, dominant run game, kept taking the ball away, and play stellar defense. Like, I've seen this movie a million times before in my life as a Bears fan, and I'm all for it. So let's just dive right in. I mentioned the defense just now. I want to talk about the defense first because I do think the defense deserves more than their fair share of credit for this game. They were lights out. A couple bad plays that kind of towards the end of the half to the Saints marched down a long drive for a touchdown. But besides that, I'd say the Bears defense was pretty dominant through and through in this game. One thing we have listed here I would definitely want to touch on, and I think it's one of the biggest things to describe the Bears season so far, is just the turnovers that they commit. It's unbelievable, or that they take away the ball. 4 more turnovers in this game, 3 interceptions and a fumble. Kevin Byard with his 4th pick on the year. Nahshon Wright, I believe, has 2 picks. TJ Edwards had a pick. I think, just everybody gets a pick. It's been, watching this defense has been so much fun. And in the past, you look back to the 2018, we mentioned 2018 at the beginning of the show. Going into that year, the Bears were, the Bears defense was going to be good. And then right before a week before the season started, they get Khalil Mack. So then all of a sudden we are thinking this defense is going to be elite, and they were, and we were right. But this year, I don't know, Jay, this defense wasn't supposed to be good. This was not supposed to be the script this season. So, I mean, this is crazy.
It is crazy. And I think back to even in the season when we were going 0-2 and we were like, this defense sucks. We can't stop a nosebleed.
52 points.
52 points. I mean, we got run out of the building in Detroit. I mean, shit, we're 4-2. Our point differential is still -3. That's how bad the start of the year was. And, the 4-game win streak, sure, did we play Geno Smith and the Raiders? Did we play, Rattler and the Saints? Yeah, but you mix in Jaden Daniels healthy, and the defense looked good then, and Dak Prescott too. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but the turnovers are coming, and they're coming in bunches, and Byard's all over the place. I don't know off the top of my head how many picks he has, but it's many, right? It's 3 or more.
He's got 4.
He's got 4. So there you go. And I don't know, I'll tip the hat to him. Maybe they were listening to the pod and got a little extra inspiration, but we'll take what we can get there. And truly that's the reason why we're winning these football games. So let's keep that up while the offense kind of continues to get right,
Yeah, and the offense is struggling, but they're still, Caleb did throw a pick in this game, but still 1 turnover in the game. The Bears in the whole overall in the season, the Bears are plus 11 turnover differential, which is like every week you go in as one of the biggest keys to winning is winning the turnover battle, and the Bears are doing that every single week, which is definitely helping them go on this 4-game win streak. So the defense, I mean, the turnovers are great. Turnovers are fluky. They are what they are. You got to assume the luck's going to run out at some point with these turnovers, just because they, it's the amount of turnovers they're getting is the rate they're getting is unsustainable. But it's like the turnovers kind of held us, they kind of like patched together this defense a little bit, but now the defense is kind of starting to show up. Now, Jay, to kind of get back to what you were just saying, it is possible and honestly probably likely that the Bears defense has looked better in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, and just because they play, I guess actually because Spencer Rattler, bad quarterback. Jaden Daniels last week, good quarterback. So It's not like they're only playing these scrubs lately. But Montez Sweat shows up this week, forced fumble on a sack. Bears get it back. One of the 4 turnovers that they had. 4 sacks overall for the Bears defense in this game. Only gave up 44 rushing yards in this game. Again, the Saints are a bad team. No one's sitting here and saying that the Saints are, some kind of offensive juggernaut, but they're NFL players over there, and the Bears put up one of their best defensive performances that I can remember in a while. So I do think that the turnovers will start to slow down at some point, but I think that the Bears defense may have found something on this bye week.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nick. I think if you take away the turnovers, some of the underlying stats and defensive kind of metrics that you want to see is the front 4 winning up front, and are you able to stop the run? And they check both of those boxes pretty aggressively this past week against the Saints. 4 sacks as a team. We're calling out Montez Sweat's name, and 44 rushing yards allowed is an incredible stat, especially for this defense. That was the biggest fault in the defense, was we can't get pressure and we can't stop the run. And you can't do that in the NFL. You're not going to win many games. And all of a sudden, like you said, Nick, after the bye, they started kind of thwarting that. You go back to the Commanders game too. One of our keys to the game in the Commanders game was obviously to stop the run, but it was that because the Commanders came into that game leading the NFL in rushing yards per game. And the Bears held their own there in that aspect. So, and they were able to repeat that for 2 weeks in a row. And again, it's a week-to-week league in the NFL, but you want to see that progress. The Greg Williams defense seems to be kind of kicking it up. That energy you can kind of feel too. And one last thing that I want to say, and I'll turn it back over, is like Edwards and the linebacker play has been phenomenal. I think getting Tremaine TJ Edwards and Tremaine
Edmonds.
Tremaine Edmonds. I always mess that up. Thank you.
You mash them up,
But they've been playing like lights out, and I think that's a big reason why we're starting to stop the run too. So I've loved what I've seen. I think it'll be a big test next week against the Ravens. We'll get into that next show, but we'll see what we're working with here. 4-2 is a great place to be.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about, we're going to talk to the offense and everything. But first, really quick, I want to talk about Drew. You and I on the preview show, we were talking about, is Dennis Allen going to get some kind of like bump for like being the defensive coordinator that was fired by the Saints last year, and is this going to be like, we didn't think he was going to necessarily come out and say, hey, I win this one for me, boys. But like, was there going to be some kind of bump? And I don't know if you guys saw the post game game ball situation with Ben Johnson, but he went straight to Dennis Allen, and that defense went absolutely crazy for the man. Yeah. So I love to see stuff like that. I love it when players play for their coaches. I did get to see another side-by-side of Eberflus giving a post-game win speech versus Ben Johnson and like what's going on now. And just there was like, I mean, there was just nothing, like there was no fire. It was just adults having a conversation in a room versus like a post-game win in the NFL. Yeah. So there definitely was something to be said, Drew. I don't know. Did you see that video?
Yeah, no, I definitely saw it. It's always great when the Chicago Bears socials are posting the, well, let's get back to our regular programming, that sort of underlying, and it was great. Great to see that. It was also great that Dennis Allen, I mean, he didn't need to bury the Saints, but at the same time, like his message was, sometimes it just doesn't fit somewhere, boys. And it was a great message to say, like out there in general, like sometimes your first choice, or sometimes the place that drafts you, or the place that you first get to coach, it doesn't fit. But he said, the right things to his guys, that he's glad that he's there and this is a place that he's going to have success. So I think that sends a message to his defense to get them rallied around him all the time of like, I'm going to fight for you. You're going to fight for me. I'd rather be here than there wouldn't be anywhere else that I'd rather be than here. And yeah, that was good. That was good by him. And the only game ball given out. So means something to Ben Johnson too. So that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And also like selfishly, you got to love the fact that like, okay, Dennis Allen he was not a good head coach at two different stops. People forget he was the Raiders head coach for a while back, and it didn't go great. So I don't think a lot of teams are going to come knocking looking for Dennis Allen to be a head coach. So I don't think you have to worry about him being poached in any way, shape, or form. Typically, teams don't give guys the third shot after two failed opportunities. So that's good news, because, I mean, I think Ben Johnson would find a decent defensive coordinator to replace him with, but not having to worry about that, keeping the consistency in the room, I think is always a good thing. So that rocks. But anyway, all in all, defense played outstanding. Again, they took the ball away 4 times. The Saints only had 44 rushing yards. It's not, again, I mean, the Saints are bad, but I mean, Alvin Kamara is like one of the best running backs of like this, I don't want to say era, but I guess era, like the past 10 years, he's probably up there as like one of the best running backs in the NFL, consistency wise. So it's not like they're throwing a slouch out at us. So I think that the Bears defense did a pretty good job. And then again, they heated up the quarterback. They had 4 sacks, which we have not seen. I think that's probably the most sacks the Bears have had in a game in probably like 3 or 4 years without looking at any statistics on the top. It's pretty incredible. So defense, shout out defense, really came to play. Then they really just dominated on the field. The one thing that we will talk about, I mean, the offense wasn't as across the board good as the defense was. The offense had some things that were good, and they had some things that were not so good. First, let's just get the bad out of the way. And again, Bears win, right? 4-2, 4-game win streak. That's the big message here in this game. Bears win this game. They're 4-2. But I think we can nitpick a little bit, and I nitpick a little bit. I mean, we can look at Caleb Williams' performance and the wide, like the passing game performance, and definitely ask for more. I think that there's a lot to be desired there. Caleb, I mean, I don't have his stats. I should have his stats, but not good. His quarterback rating was 19.8. I have that one written down. Not good. It seemed like there was just. Drew, we were talking about this last week. It just seems like there's just not, the receivers aren't on the same page. It almost seems like Caleb is like more comfortable when he's got, like, I saw a statistic that said he was like against pressure, he was 8 for 8 or something like that with like most of his yards. And then against like no pressure, he was like less than 50% completion percentage and like very little yards. So it almost seems like Caleb prefers the chaos of like being chased and like getting out of the pocket. Is this something that can be like changed, like if he coaches out of him, because I would love to see a guy that's able to escape and make those dynamic plays, but also just drop back and, you know, throw a dart into a slant route or something like that. Drew, I don't know. Do you think that, I mean, he's still a second year. There's time to fix this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you hope that there's things that point towards him wanting to fix that, or wanting to play again that middle part of the game where it's in control. Obviously, this is a tough one to fully judge and say, yeah, he needed to do better, because he really didn't. They won the game. They controlled the ball on the ground. That's something that we like to see, and we've seen in back-to-back weeks. But like we were saying in the preview, Nick, like you want to win the games that you should win, but also like let's absolutely blow the doors off the team. Let's not like have every facet of our offense. Let's have every facet of our offense just work all the time, and not have these bumps in the road where it's like, well, are we going to do better next time? I don't know. I think it's still, the mystery is still out there, because Caleb has some of those accuracy issues, some of those, I mean, still ran the ball 40 times. So like smaller sample size out of Caleb. But I will say the one thing that I do like is he is consistently through every game spreading the ball around. You got 15 completions to 8 different receivers. So I do like to see everybody get involved. It's just, it was also kind of a sloppier day, so tougher to throw the ball. So I will give Caleb a little bit of patience towards this once again. I mean, it would be a completely different story if we were losing all of these games.
Yeah,
I think both of you can echo that statement. We'd be harping all up on him, but since we're not, it's more of just like yeah, we want him to do better, but does it matter if we're winning and he's still controlling the game a little bit? To me, it really doesn't. So, yeah.
Jay, I feel like you have been, I don't want to say more of a critic, but kind of about Caleb than both of us. What are your thoughts on Caleb? As it just seems like, you know, peaks and valleys with Caleb the past, like honestly, the whole season to this point.
Yeah, I think what is giving me more confidence, even though, you know, I'd love to see Caleb's, especially in the Ben Johnson offense, the completion percentage be more around that 65 to 70%. Like, who wouldn't? But that's a meaningful statistic, and he's really not there. There are still some pretty damning stats on Caleb about like expected completion percentage. He's last in the NFL, like below Gabriel, below, you know, some pretty bad quarterbacks out there. Obviously, if you're last, you're last. But the positive spin on that is that I really do believe in Ben Johnson through these 6 games. And I think that the big piece here is that the coaching staff understands the strengths and weaknesses of the personnel, rather than just saying, hey, I'm going to stick to my playbook. Let's rock and roll. This is a game that was won on the ground in a time that Caleb wasn't having a great day. And let's not forget, this is a game against a bad team, but when you play bad teams, you want to win by double digits, and they did that, right? They won by more than one possession, and the end result is what matters. But to get more into the Caleb breakdown, I am optimistic that he's with the right coach, the best coach in the league, in order to develop a quarterback. I mean, we saw what happened with Jared Goff going from a bum to an MVP candidate with Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's a bomb, but
well, you're right. I mean, I know he went to the Super Bowl, but like we all knew that he wasn't good, right? Like if they had a better if they had Matthew Stafford, I think they're winning that Super Bowl. Right?
I don't think anybody thought that when Goff got traded to the Lions that he'd be their quarterback for the next 5 to 7 years. I think everyone kind of assumed he was going to be a bridge quarterback. They would draft somebody, and that would be like the Dan Campbell quarterback. So the fact that I don't know if a bum is the right word, but definitely was like on the decline.
A lower tier quarterback. Yeah, it's probably bad. Yeah. Bum is aggressive. I'll give you that. But the point is, I do have the optimism that I didn't have before the season, that if things aren't right away, quarterbacks and Caleb, with his talent level, can be coached into writing some of these, rougher points of not being able to be accurate in the pocket, wanting to play unscripted instead of wanting to follow the play call and the natural progressions of that. I think he'll get there. I wasn't as confident about that 4 weeks ago. I am much more confident about that now, and I think we all should be, because, again, we have the right coaching staff in place to make him improve, and he's too gifted not to improve, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think like having the right coaching staff in place. Like we've had staffs that we thought were pretty good, right? In the past, we've had staffs that probably were overly excited about in the past, and then we've had bad staffs as well. It just feels like this is like, okay, this is what a good coach feels like. This is actually like this is what it actually feels like. Like we've been fooled before, but I don't think we're gonna get fooled this time. So one thing I'll say about Caleb really quick, and this statistics don't tell the whole story, but what I'm about to say is very statistic based. So, like I said, Caleb's been peaks and valleys. The Cowboys game, he didn't miss a throw. He was like, everything was right on the money. It was great. He made every read. It was awesome. The Commanders game, a little bit of both, kind of some slops, kind of some good throws. This game was kind of definitely one of the lower ones. But as of right now, Caleb Williams has 1,351 passing yards on the season, which means he's on pace for 10 yards less than the Bears and a single season record for passing yards in a season. Eric Kramer in 1995. So again, I want to make sure that we point out, like, yes, this game is not up to the standard that we want it to be at, and we expect better out of the number one overall quarterback. But I also want to say that literally, including this game that we just watched yesterday, he is on pace to have a better season than anything Jay Cutler ever put out there, anything Rex Grossman ever put out there, anything Jim McMahon ever put out there. So I think that, it is important to have that kind of now, yes, there's 17 games now versus 16 games before, but still stats are stats, and I'm just going to ignore that because it goes against my point.
Yeah.
But I just want to throw that out there. Also, he only if he averages 240 the rest of the season, he's going to hit 4,000 this year, which is a very attainable number. I feel like, maybe, not for Bears, but like in terms of NFL, that's 240 a game is attainable for sure. For sure. So just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, the last thing I want to say is I don't want us to get bash on Caleb for one bad game when they have a double-digit win. You can allow yourself to have a bad game as a quarterback. Everyone, elite quarterback. We just saw Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield on Monday night just had a very bad game. He was missing people all over the place. He was the darling as an MVP candidate. These things can happen. So let's see how he comes back against the Ravens. But again, you get some defensive production. You get the biggest thing that's going to be the most helpful for Caleb is what they're doing in the run game, and it's establishing a hard-nosed run game, and all of your play action can come off of that in that Ben Johnson offense, and that's only going to make things easier for Caleb. So arrows going up, even though it's a bad game in the short term, the arrow's down, but still that long-term arrow's going straight up, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned the run game because I brought up the Caleb stuff, so I want to get that out of the way. I want to talk positive. Bears win the game and everything, so let's try and be as positive as we can be. So I want to talk about the run game that you just mentioned, Jay. Again, I think for the bye week, Ben Johnson just locked himself in his office for 2 weeks and just put the lights off and just beautiful minded some offensive run schemes because the first 4 weeks of the season, we were begging for 3.5, 4 yards a carry. We would have killed for that. And ever since the bye, granted 2 games, but still 2 games in a row, the Bears have gone and they have absolutely won the line of scrimmage and dominated the run game. No doubt about it. DeAndre Swift, first back-to-back 100-yard games in a Bears uniform. Manungai, by the way, 7th-round rookie, he had 81 yards, over 6 yards a carry, and a touchdown. The Bears ran for 222 yards in this game. Yeah. That's crazy. Again, go back 3-4 weeks ago. This is not something that we thought would ever happen, regardless of who the Bears are playing. Yeah, the Saints. I told you guys the numbers. The Saints are like a very middle of the pack run defense. It's not like you're playing like 31 or 32 in the league against the run. You're playing against a very middle of the pack defense, like a very average NFL defense. You put up 222 on them. That's a good day at the office for the Bears offensive line, the running game. Yeah, go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it doesn't get much better than that. 222, if you can get that every time. And again, like you said, Nick, we're not playing against the Dolphins here. You know, in their run defense, the Saints aren't a good team. Okay. Mm-hmm. But you hit the nail on the head. Their run defense is not pitiful. And so whatever's going on, I don't know if it's, I don't know. That's what I wish I knew. I was watching the game tape and I was like, this offensive line, maybe it's just taking the time to kind of gel together and work together. There's a lot of new faces playing with a lot of new people, a lot of new assignments that you kind of got to mesh through. The one thing that I love to see is the continuous improvement on all facets of the game. Yeah. That's, again, not to overly glaze Ben Johnson, but he deserves it. But that's what a good coaching staff does. We're not used to that as Bears fans, of a team getting better throughout the season because of the coaching staff, like their play actually being elevated, getting to know the schemes, getting to know and execute their assignments better. And I think Nick, it's in Drew, it's as simple as that. I think there's a lot of merit in, hey, we actually have a coaching staff that coaches the players rather than just calling plays.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think a lot of this points right back to the coaching staff. And honestly, I think you mentioned getting better throughout the season, but not only getting better, but taking like deficiencies, like the worst parts of your team and turning them into like strengths in certain games. Like, I don't think the Bears running game is going to be a top 5 unit in the NFL this season or anything like that. But game plan specifically, they could be on average, like they could have games like this if the game plan calls for it, stuff like that. So taking parts of the team, not even the offense, the whole team that were awful, right? Running game, pass rush. These things were very good in this game against the Saints. So taking weaknesses, deficiencies, and turning them into strengths that lead to victories in specific games, like that's coaching. 100% that's coaching. Yeah. Maybe the coaches, maybe they were doing a little trial and error to see what worked with the personnel in the first few weeks. I don't know. I don't think the Bears are going to be like some 13-4 team this season or anything crazy like that. But I do think that having good coaching that knows, that can get your team, that knows what the deficiencies on your team is and how to kind of address those on a week-to-week basis is very important. So I'm very happy to see that.
Amen.
All right. So, yeah, just again, shout out. One thing I also want to mention, we'll talk about him again in a minute, but I do think that like one of the big turnaround points for the Bears offensive running game, I do think once we got Braxton Jones out of the team, and we put Theo Benedict in there at left tackle, it almost seems like a linear, the graph is like they match each other because of from when that moment happened to when the run game started improving. Mm-hmm. So I do think there is a very important relationship between, I don't even know if it's Theo Benedict playing, if it's much as it's just Braxton Jones not playing.
Yeah.
I think that might have something to do with it. Because man, he got pulled in the second quarter of that Raiders game. And while the Bears didn't run the ball great against the Raiders, it was noticeably better on the offensive line once he came in, once Braxton Jones got, taken out of the game. So I do think that there is a lot of credit to go to Theo Benedict for coming in and being somewhat reliable. And also I think there's a lot of question marks about Braxton Jones, why he was a starting left tackle coming into this season. But I don't know.
Now, I'd love to add to that too, because
go ahead.
I think that's you can kind of circle that as the turning point, right? Yeah. I mean, it has been so far. It just has. I don't know if it's cause, but there's certainly correlation, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the offensive run game has gone through the roof since Braxton got hooked. And there's a couple of things there. The individual play at the position is improved. right? And again, it's a very low bar for that improvement, but it has. It's noticeable. It's so noticeable that we actually have Theo Benedict's play listed as one of the negatives, but it's still better than if Braxton Jones was out there.
It's still better. It's crazy,
right? But the other thing too is like the larger kind of sweeping team mentality that benching a player in the middle of the game, a starter, an established starter, can have. It's like, okay, maybe that fires other people up to play a little bit harder, right? This is a coaching staff that says, if you're going to underperform, you're not going to play. And maybe that kind of rises the expectation and the fire of other team members as well to say, listen, let's fucking put it all out there, because I don't want to be the next one benched either if I'm underperforming as well. Maybe that's a stretch, but I mean, there's impact to that besides just replacing a player out.
Yeah, 100%. I was just looking up our buddy. You remember our buddy Nate Davis, guard from last season?
Your boy.
I was just looking him. Yeah, my boy. I was just looking him up because I couldn't remember if he played right guard or left guard, and he played right guard. But I was going to make a comment about how could you imagine that those two were playing next to each other last season? They weren't. They were on the same line though. But can you imagine that Braxton Jones was again one of the strengths of our offensive line last season?
I know.
The transformation from last year to this year, like obviously the free agents. One thing, I mean, we'll get some of the negatives, but for the most part, the free agents have been pretty good at blocking. God, this last year was so bad. But I mean, getting Theo Benedict out there, you got, I think that just the offensive line is so much better now.
Oh, undoubtedly. And we're not really paying too much attention to. I think the value that Joe Thuney brings to that offensive line too, just being a 100%. Veteran presence, to be able to call out things pre-snap, to be able to get them on the same page before the ball's even snapped, especially when you have if you have a left tackle that might be a little bit, it's Theo Benedict. I don't think it's inappropriate for us to be able to say, who the fuck is that guy still? Like, he is an undrafted Canadian free agent last year that is now your starting left tackle, arguably the second most important position on a football team. And the ability to have veterans on that line to be able to absorb some of that, raw or newness or inexperience that he has, I think is one of those that it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but I think it's undoubtedly there.
Yeah. Yeah, and also I want to throw out, like, Theo Benedict was last season he wasn't like learning the ropes and like getting reps in practice. He was on IR all season and had like knee surgery. So it's not like this is an undrafted. He's basically an undrafted rookie this season. So it's like, you think the second year you might have he had some practice reps. No, he did not. He was on IR all season last year. So 100%. The one thing, I'm going to kind of pivot into negatives a little bit, just overall team negatives. While we're talking about the offensive line, a couple things. We talked about Theo Benedict. He did look a little overmatched sometimes out there. Like, he did seem like he was getting the best of it. Was a Cam Jordan was getting the best of him out there.
Yeah.
Cam Jordan is the consummate defensive end pro. Like, he's been in the league forever, and he puts up big numbers. And he's a really good defensive end. He's not elite anymore.
But he was.
He was definitely in the top, top 5 to 7 pass rushers in the league at one point. But he's still like the consummate pro right now. So that's going to happen against a young player. I don't want to beat him down too much. I think, again, we just talked about how the run game has improved so much since he's come in. Whether there's some causality there or not, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know that, but I do know that it does seem to be the turning point when the running game turned around. So, but yeah, I mean, like you said, I love Joe Thuney being in there to kind of be like a support, right just to his left or just to his right there at the guard position. So nothing to worry about. I don't think. Just maybe keep an eye on Theo, see how he, I think he'll be all right though. He's been pretty decent for the most part. But offensive line, main thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about your guy, Drew Dahlman.
Yeah.
So Drew Dahlman, his blocking hasn't really been a problem. I've seen him like on some like screens, and like I saw him like pull and kick out somebody today, which as a center pulling is very difficult to do. So very athletic. Some would say the most athletic position on the field, actually. But anyway, there were the two snaps, right? There was the two weird snap situations where he he like double clutched and then fumbled to Caleb, and then the one where he just didn't give the ball to Caleb, and I don't know exactly what was going on there. I never played quarterback or center in my life, so I don't really, I mean, I don't know if like Drew Dahlman's a guy who's like been in the league for a while. He's a veteran. I would imagine that he's not just getting the yips and forgetting how to snap the ball. I would imagine he probably didn't feel Caleb get the ball, so that's why he held on to it, right? I don't know. Like
I don't remember seeing that too often, dude. Yeah, that was a weird one.
Twice in one game too, which is weird. Now the second time it actually helped the Bears because they were going for on fourth down, and it would have been a fumble, loss of possession due to losing yards, but because they called the false start, they actually just dead ball. Move him back 5 yards, kick the field goal. So that worked out really nice. That would have been an absolute disaster if that would have been a fumble and just no points on that drive from the 4-yard line. So, but yeah, I thought that was just weird. I don't know. I think, there's been some snaps that have not been perfect. I do think that Caleb owns some of that as well, because some of these snaps that I initially called out as bad snaps upon watching replays, it's like, okay, that was actually, I mean, it wasn't perfect, but definitely something that athletic quarterback should be able to get. So I don't know, just want to call that out because I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm with you, because it's not just isolated to this past game against the Saints either. We've seen that a couple of times, and I don't know, Nick, maybe that's just still unfamiliarity of Caleb having never been under center in his collegiate career, and that was one of the things that draft critics were saying, hey, well, how is he going to adapt to the Ben Johnson offense, and we're seeing some of that. I don't know. I don't know if it's Dahlman. I don't know if it's Caleb. I'm with you there, but they gotta kind of clean some of that stuff up, because that's just too elementary to be fucking around and having negative plays from a snap.
Yeah, and to give everyone the little bit of benefit of the doubt, like you just said, familiarity. Caleb exclusively under shotgun under Lincoln Riley's offense in college. Also, it's a rainy, shitty Chicago day, so I don't know. We got to clean that up, but there is a little. I mean, it didn't hurt you in the end. If that would have led directly to losses, that would have led the show. But you can kind of sweep it under the rug when it's a win. So, clean it up.
Yeah, clean it up.
Yeah. Speaking of things that need to be cleaned up, this is the one aspect of the team that has been a absolute bugaboo all season that they just can't seem to get shake free of, and it's the penalties. Another 10 penalties for 92 yards, almost the full length of the field in penalties in this game. I mean, we've been talking about it. The running game looked great. The defense looked great. Everything else was just slop, just a bad game. But again, say that lovingly in a win, but the penalties, man, this is a problem. It's you're going to run into another Vikings game where it's close and you gotta, you can't have penalties that make 3rd and 6, 3rd and 11. You got to have stuff you got to clean up this penalty stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that is the biggest negative to take away from the game is the penalties still remain. They're 10 for 92 is atrocious. It's hard to win games that way. Yeah. And it comes into, can you get 3+ turnovers a game? Can you rush for 200 yards a game? Not every game's going to be like that. It's not going to be like that.
Right.
So you got to control what you can control, and not seeing the consistency. I don't know what the stats are. The Bears have to be top 3 in penalties committed in yards committed in the NFL. They just have to be. It's too sloppy, and that's gonna translate to losing games, like you said, especially close games too. Those things that you can't control pre-snap during, it's a big glaring shadow that kind of lurks over the good run, and it's a 4-game win streak. So let's get back to the pot. I don't want to be too negative, but those penalties are going to kick our ass if they don't get cleaned up. One thing, Nick, that I wanted to kind of call out though, because we spent a lot of time in the last review show about the terrible penalties in the game that were called against the Bears in the game against the Commanders. I still can't get over, and I need to get your reaction on the offensive pass interference call on Colston Loveland, where he was just standing there, hands open, a defender ran right into him. What was your take on that? Because for me, I was like, I don't understand how that can be offensive pass interference. The defender was out of position, ran right into a guy who didn't even, kick his butt out or a leg out to try to trip this guy up. Do you know that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. And, when these plays happen, I obviously any penalty against the Bears in the moment, I'm very angry and I try and give them the benefit of the doubt to the point where I blame the refs and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But when oh my God, Cooper Kupp just threw an interception. That was not what you wanted to see there. I'm sure if you're a Seahawks fan,
they're marching the ball like so consistently. Why you don't need a trick play? What are you doing? They're shredding them.
Gotta love a wide receiver throwing a fucking interception into basically the red zone. Anyway, sorry.
Jesus.
So what I'm trying to say is that I'm mad in the moment, and then I try and look at it more subjectively, right? Because everything, when cooler heads prevail, especially after a win, you can kind of look back at something and be like, okay, let's relax. Right. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, I mean, it was just, in the NFL, grown men, when they're trying to get past somebody or stop somebody, like, there's going to be a little bit of contact, and I think there has to be some leeway. And I think the refs actually do a pretty good job most of the time of like being like, yeah, this is a grown ass man game. We're going to make penalties like actually penalties. And this was an instance where they didn't do that. And I do think that this was a terrible call. And it shouldn't have been up. I mean, I don't understand if I really don't know if I don't know if there is some kind of like quota refs have to hit or something, because it just seems like sometimes they are just like throwing it, like they're like, I'm going to throw a flag on this play. I don't care who it is or what it is. The first contact I see is getting a flag. It just seems like that sometimes, because this is a nothing. There's no reason to call that penalty, but here we are.
Luckily, it didn't impact the game, but I was like, this is too often that's this happening now. Like, what? It wasn't even close. Close. It wasn't even a pick play. It wasn't like a rub route or a drag.
They said he kind of got into him and pushed off a little bit, but it's like, no, he ran in, like he's running his route and the defender was in the way, and they kind of bumped into each other, and his hands were kind of up. It's not like he didn't do a full extension, like nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was a little bit of contact, but I wouldn't say he initiated it or anything.
No.
I don't know. It was very stupid. I hate seeing it. Also, I saw I was watching the game. I didn't see this on like the main broadcast part, but they were showing an instant replay of a Saints good play. I don't remember what it was. And they showed the replay in slow motion from behind the quarterback. And the Bears, it was DeMarcus Robinson or Montez Sweat, somebody was like being just held to like they're like, and like right in front of the quarterback. This is exactly where they're supposed to be looking for this stuff. And it wasn't like, he's kind of got him. It was like, oh, dude, shoulder pads are like above his ears being held situation. Like, why are we not calling that? I don't know. It's hard. Like being like the refs just, sometimes they just, it almost seems like they're just, I don't know, maybe they're just not looking in the right place sometimes. I don't know, but not a good call. Need to get better refs. Need to get better Bears.
True. I think it's, Bears 10 for 92. That's not all the refs' fault. That's the Bears' fault. No. But Bears win 4-2. I mean, who's not taking 4-2 preseason? If we said, hey, through 6 weeks in the Ben Johnson era with this team, we're 4-2, taking it every time, right?
It's probably exactly where I would have imagined them. Yeah. Like maybe in my like wildest dreams, I'd say 5-1. I didn't think there was any chance they were going to beat the Lions in Detroit.
No.
But I mean, and think about it. I mean, you're just one bad fourth quarter away from being 5-1 right now, which is crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. And again, I've said this last week. I've said this like the last 2 weeks. I feel like the Bears are 4-2. They've beaten some good teams. Again, they went to Washington and beat the Commanders. They beat the Cowboys. Not even the Packers could beat the Cowboys.
That's true.
Bears are playing they're playing good teams. They're 4-2, and they're not even like their offense is like specifically like the passing game is not anywhere near like what I think its potential is. So I do think this team still has room to grow.
100%. The arrow is certainly pointing up. You brought up the stat last week too. What are they averaging? 25, 26 points a game. And the offense is not clicking on all cylinders yet. That's excellent. That is an excellent sign. Everyone's improving. Everything's improving. There's a lot to get excited about as Bears fans. For real this time. For real this time.
We promise for real this time.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, I saw another stat. It's going around. I think they mentioned on PMT today. The Bears are the only team in the NFL to score over 21 points in every game this season.
You're in every game unless you're getting blown out by 52. But you should be in every game.
In theory, you should be in every game for 21 points a game. Yeah. So. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, fun game. Yeah, not really, but Bears win. A lot of things to clean up. Some particular units looked elite. Some particular units need a lot of work to go. So, Jay, I'm going to kick it over to you to kind of grade out this game. You just give me offense, defense, and then overall.
Yeah. So offense, I'm gonna give a B plus. I can't give the A, and maybe I would do like a subset. Offense B plus. The reason why they're not in the A is probably because Caleb had a D game, and those aren't my words. That's from Ben Johnson pointing out past game inefficiencies. Caleb saying he had a really bad game in his presser too, and kind of taking ownership of that. Awesome thing to see a leader do is say, "Listen, we did awesome. I played like shit. Go team, rah rah."
Right.
But B plus for the offense. Again, 222 yards on the run is everything that I want to see from this Bears game. It allows a quarterback to progress and get better if you can lean on that. So B plus. Defense, I'm giving an A minus for the game. I think that, like we said earlier, they're checking all the boxes of everything that we wanted to see. The front line, the front four sacks, 44 rushing yards, 4 turnovers. That's not even an A minus. That's an A. That's a solid A in my opinion. You gave up a couple of deep shots to Olave. That can happen. You can live with that. Right? They put up 14 points total. That's not a lot of points in the NFL. Awesome. So solid A there. And I'll give the Bears overall. Oh man. I'm gonna stick with a B plus for the overall, only because the penalties are something that I think can carry over from this game and just being a pain in the ass. And when we do need to see Caleb play better to get in that A territory overall. Yeah. But hell, a double-digit win, covering the spread, 4-game win streak, B plus, rock and roll.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the defense. The defense, I'm definitely giving it a solid A to. Honestly, if it wasn't for a couple of those deep plays to Olave, we're looking at A plus there. I really thought the game was unbelievable, but we're going to stick with an A. So Bears defense gets a solid A with just their best effort of the season so far. I only see them kind of the execution and the passion and the fire just kind of getting bigger, to be honest with you. I do think that this team just has something. They're rallying around each other. I think that this defense is kind of just the beginning of it. So A for the defense. Offense, so the run game, like you said, elite. The pass game, a lot to be desired. I'm gonna go with a B minus for the offense. One of the reasons why I'm doing that is because they moved the ball pretty well. They had a lot of possessions in the Saints, in the red zone, and the Saints, end of the field, settled for a lot of field goals, which is something that, against the Saints, sure. But you start playing some good teams, look at the Commanders game. Like that game could have gone either way because you settled for a lot of field goals and touchdowns. So you start playing good teams, which Bears have some good games coming up against teams that probably won't be favored in. You got to punch that in the end zone. You can't be settling for field goals. So overall, I'm going to give the Bears effort. I'm going to give them a solid B, weighed down by the Bears offense, but the defense was very solid. And if that's what's on the horizon, then I'll be very excited for the Bears team moving forward.
Yeah. I'll throw in an extra special grade like that. That the Bears culture, those intangibles is through the roof. That gets an A+. I mean, we've had 4 locker room post-game victory speeches, and it's like I want to be a part of that. I want to put on shoulder pads and be a part of that. Like those guys have each other's back. That is clear as day. They're playing for something bigger than themselves. Hats off to the coaching staff there. But this is a fun team and a fun coaching staff to rally around. So hopefully more good things to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Ben Johnson came in here, and the first thing he said he was going to do was going to change the culture, and success. Like mission accomplished. There, the culture has been changed immediately. So yeah. Just really quick before we get over the Bears, I did see you put this little fun exercise on here. I kind of want to do a little bit of something with it really quick. Yeah. So, all right. Preseason Bears over under was 8.5. Bears have 4 wins, 11 games to go. Do you have a future on the Bears that go over 8.5? I did not put it. I should have, and I just never did.
We were talking about that in our I didn't. I didn't. I pushed out, and of course, this. Who knows? The one time and I'd be fine with that. The one time don't, and they do, great emotional hedge. But
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun. But what do you want to do? Do you want to kind of go through?
I was just thinking, like, okay, so Bears are 4-2 right now. They got 11 games left. So basically, you got to win what? I got math. You got to win five more
more.
games to 5-6 down the stretch to hit that over. But I mean, if we're talking 500 football gets you to 9 wins, you got to think 10 wins puts you right in the middle of the playoff hunt, if not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do the Bears, like, I mean, this is, 3-4 weeks ago, this is a crazy conversation we're having. But
Yes.
are the Bears do the Bears have a shot at the playoffs this year? The NFC, by and large, is very good and very competitive. So 10 wins might not even get you in the playoffs, but just a little snapshot of like their schedule coming up. All right, Bears are at Ravens next week. Bears are at Bengals the week after that. No Joe Burrow for that game, but it does sound like Lamar will be back for the Ravens game, so that's going to be a real challenge. But at the Bengals, home against the Giants, at Vikings, Steelers, at Eagles, at Packers, Browns, Packers, at 49ers, Lions. So again, I don't want to just like go through this and kind of read off but I do think Bengals is a win, Giants is a win. I think Steelers can be a win, and I also think that Browns is a win. Right off the rip. Those are the games that I think the Bears, I will expect them to win. They will probably be favored in all of these games because other than the Bengals, the ones I just listed are all at home. So I do believe the Bears should be favored in all these games. So that's 4 right there. So that gets you to, if that all happens, that's 8 wins.
Yeah.
Can the Bears steal 1 from the Vikings, 1 or 2 from the Packers, 1 from the Lions, at 49ers, like at Eagles, like these games? If the Bears can steal like 2 of these games, like we're talking about a team that's right in the middle of the playoff picture.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. Can you not go 0-6 against your division? Right? If you don't go 0-6 against your division and you win one of those games, you're at 9 wins. Is right? Or you could throw in it. I mean, yeah. Can they go 1-6 against those 7? 100%.
Totally, absolutely,
100%.
Yeah.
Hell, they can scratch 2 wins. What I always like to do is say, listen, those 4 games: Bengals, Giants, Steelers, Browns. Okay. It's the NFL. I'm not saying that those games are like done. Don't even think about it. I'm saying that those are the games that I think the Bears should be favored in. Like they'll probably be favored in when the game comes. For sure.
But yes. Yeah.
But like, I suppose my point is like, with that same kind of logic, like you can't assume the win. We can't assume the loss either, even against a larger opponent. Oh, yeah. Like they can steal 2 of those. They can steal 3 of those games. I mean, it's like you said, Ravens with Lamar. That's going to be an interesting one. I think that the next week is going to be a very interesting game because if Lamar's back, it's a 1-5 Ravens team against a 4-2 Bears team, and the Ravens need that game to survive the season. Like if not, they're dead on the table, and they have no pulse. So they're gonna be throwing the Bears everything they got, which I think is going to be an awesome measuring stick to see how the Bears are actually doing as a team. An elite Super Bowl contending opponent, getting back to health and getting that quarterback back. Yeah. At Baltimore, at the Ravens. Yeah. I mean, shit. I did look at the line for that. The Ravens are favored by 6.5 already in that game, God. Right? So, which is crazy. 1-5 again, but that's what happens when your quarterback's hurt. But yeah, I will say this: if I was holding an 8.5 ticket, if I was holding that over, I'd be very optimistic about it. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'd be very optimistic about it.
I think so. I mean, you don't want to get into the counting wins game like I just was doing, but if you do, then I think you're at 4 wins after 6 weeks. You got 11 games left. I think 5-6 down the stretch to cash your ticket. I mean, you'll take that all day. I mean, I don't know what better you could ask for. So, just Sorry,
what'd be fun though? Like if we can get to week 15 and be alive in the damn playoff hunt. That I'll count that as a successful season. Yeah. I'm not going to get my eyes too big, but like yes, more runway of season to have a reason to want to watch, and we're going to get that this year. I can guarantee that.
Just show me the Bears in the hunt graphic, in December at some point. That's all I need to see. Yep. Maybe late December, but yes. So, Bears are 4-2. They won their last 4 games. Very exciting. Then you start looking at the bigger picture and you start thinking like, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but like everything is kind of on the table in front of us right now, right? There's a lot of things, like there's things that we probably, it's like, what were the Bears after 6 weeks last year? I think they were also 4-2 or
I think they were 4-2. It was either 4-2 or 3-3.
But it's just interesting how different things feel because the Bears were hot, then they lost all those games. And this year they lost 2, second one absolutely terrible, and they've just won 4 straight. So we're in an interesting spot. I think the arrow's pointing up, and I think there's legit optimism, definitely to hit the over on wins, definitely to hit the over 8.5. And if you're over 8.5, I do think that playoffs can creep into the back of your mind a little bit. So I think it's just something to keep your eye on. Obviously we all are. Just keep us, again, just get me in the hunt graphic in December, and I'm going to be very happy.
Yep. And I mean, that's really what it is. It's let's let ourselves be optimistic. That's what we are as Bears fans. Just give us a shred of hope. We have more than a shred now. We have a realistic reason to be optimistic that things are going to get better. We have not played our best football, and we are 4-2, right? Yeah. Right. You could, and you said this earlier, Nick, should be 5-1 in that week 1 game. So there's a lot to be optimistic about. If you're playing your best ball, your absolute lights out ball, and you're 4-2, it's like, okay, the shoe's going to drop. We're going to get back to sucking. Right. We have not played our best ball. And so again, I hate to say it, this is the 1,000th time I've said it, but the arrow's pointing up.
Yeah, no, 100%. It absolutely is. So if you're holding one of those 8.5, over 8.5 win tickets, I definitely say, you're sitting pretty right now. So don't lose that. And for anybody that's watching us on YouTube or listening and hasn't heard Drew's voice in a while, just know that Drew is going to be, he will not return tonight. He is out.
He's on the IR. Yeah, listed as doubtful.
He's listed as doubtful to return with a moving into a new house with no Wi-Fi situation. So, so we'll see Drew back next week or later this week when we preview the Ravens game. So, but anyway, Jay, I'm going to kick it over to you, and we're going to go around the league and talk some ball.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't have a ton of points to go through, but we'll see where the conversation goes organically. We always like to start kind of in the NFC North, what was happening around the league. Obviously, the Lions just kind of took care of business on Monday night here against the Bucks, which is a really big game.
It was
5-1 Bucks against the 4-2 what were going into the game 4-2 Lions, and the Lions defense really showed up on Monday night too, and made Baker look kind of scrambled. Not a good sign. Not a good sign for the competition in the NFC North. I really do think the Lions are for real.
Yeah.
And Nick, go for it.
I was just gonna say the one thing when I was watching the Lions game, kind of prepping for the show before we started recording, is that Troy and Joe definitely beat you over the head with the fact that the Lions are injured, but they're very injured. Their secondary is complete. One of their secondary members is out because he decided to punch Juju Smith-Schuster in the face after the game last week. But regardless, they're down to second, third string practice squad dudes in the secondary, going against the not the odds-on favorite, but everyone's MVP pick right now, and the Lions just have we talk a lot about Ben Johnson and coaching and changing the culture, but something about Dan Campbell, he just he loses his 2 coordinators, and everyone kind of thought they were going to take a huge step back because Dan Campbell just a meathead that relied on his great coordinators, and got 2 new guys in here, but the same, the heartbeat is still very strong with the Lions. They're the same team. So all I was thinking about was their coaching and how good their coaching is on the Lions. So, they're going to be a problem this season.
Yeah, they are going to, they look like the best team in the NFC kind of by a lot, in my opinion, especially after this game.
Definitely.
And we talked about I guess we can transition into the Eagles because the Eagles played the Vikings, and we were talking in a couple shows ago. I was like, I can't believe that the Eagles are good. Yeah. And they keep on kind of doing this thing. I don't know. You said it about the Bills playing with their food, and I feel like the Eagles have been doing that too. It's hey, you know what? We have Saquon Barkley and a fantastic offensive line. Let's make Jalen Hurts throw the ball. a shit ton, and he was successful. He can kind of connect with those deep balls, and that's what happened. AJ Brown kind of ate, and Devonta Smith kind of ate, and they ended up taking care of the Vikings. But I mean, that Vikings team, that was a kind of a close game. With Carson Wentz as the quarterback. In did you see any of that game, Nick?
Yeah, I did.
Carson Wentz.
Unfortunately,
I was like, that's a Chicago Bears. That's what's Quinn? Why am I freaking? There goes my whole punchline. But who was our old quarterback? Quinn.
Jonathan Quinn.
It was he had an intentional grounding where he just kind of like threw shuttled the ball. It was like, oh, that's Carson. That's who they're rolling out at quarterback for the Vikings. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see the Vikings lose. It's weird to see the Eagles kind of rack up another win. I just don't believe the Eagles are going to be great. And I really think it's the Lions kind of whole conference to run away with in a little bit here.
Yeah, I thought tonight's game, the Lions and the Bucs were the two best teams in the NFC. Honestly, like the Seahawks, kind of pretty good team. Yeah, quietly, they're also playing right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think as I say that, the Seahawks get a field goal blocked. But anyway, I don't think the Eagles are even in the top 3 teams in the NFC right now. I think the Eagles have some glaring holes. I think that their team chemistry and their team, like whatever, stuff that you can't, the immeasurables, like it's just awful. Like you hear all these terrible things. It just seems like they all hate each other like all the time. It's crazy.
I know. And their coach is a fucking goober.
He's a goober. Sure. He definitely is a goober. But honestly, after saying all that, my biggest takeaway from this is that the Vikings are just not good. And
I think that's it.
Also, you made your comment on our sheet here says Eagles take care of Vikings. Carson Wentz is really bad. It just made me laugh when I was reading that. So he is really bad. And also, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Adam Schefter got a little defensive on Twitter talking about JJ McCarthy this weekend. I don't know if you know you were.
No, I missed that.
You're on your trip. So So Adam Schefter tweeted out something to the effect of JJ McCarthy's injury has always been and remains to be like a 6-week injury. He'll probably miss next week and then maybe return the following week or something like that. But then Twitter sleuths or ex-sleuths, as whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
They found not even sleuths, but just they found Schefter's tweet from the game that JJ McCarthy got hurt, and he referred to it as a 2 to 4 week injury. So I think there's something weird going on with the Vikings and JJ McCarthy. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Like my brain goes to like they don't have any faith in him, but also like Carson Wentz is fucking terrible. We know what Carson Wentz is. There's no you got your you have your Sam Darnold. He's a top 3 pick, and he hadn't really gotten a fair chance except for playing for the Jets, and nobody does good at the Jets. So like, sure, you can have a little optimism there, but like Carson Wentz, he's been on like 6 teams and been absolutely terrible on all of them, with the exception of that like half season that he was really good for the Eagles before he got injured. So I think that the Vikings are just either they don't have any faith in JJ McCarthy or his injury is much worse than they said it was, and I don't really know what it was. I'm not sure where it is.
You know what's even more just I don't want to say crushing, but just it's a tough offseason for the Vikings when they had Sam Darnold, who's looking really good in Seattle. You know who else they had though last year? Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones,
and now he's an MVP candidate all of a sudden with the Colts.
Yeah.
And they said, these guys go ahead and take a walk. We're going to stick with JJ McCarthy and Carson Wentz. Yeah. So maybe some seller's remorse there, because that I'll tell you what, you put either one of those guys on that roster right now, the Vikings are going to be electric.
A lot better. Yeah, definitely like a contender in the NFC North for sure. Yeah. The Vikings, not scared of them at all. The way the Bears kind of like dominated that game for 3 quarters against them on Monday night, like the first game of the season, I was like, oh, I'm not afraid of the Vikings at all. This team is not very good. So,
and, you know who else I'm not really scared about that much anymore, which is funny because this NFL season just is going all over the place. Like, okay, you have the Eagles and the Packers are starting out 2-0. They're the best teams in the NFL, and then everyone's going out in the Bills, and then everyone's hitting these 2-game slides. But the Packers, I mean, they eked out a win against the Cardinals. That Cardinals team is bad. I'll tell you that much right now. Did you watch any of that game? Because Kyler Murray had some plays. It's like this guy's not an NFL quarterback. Like he looked. I saw one thing on Instagram of a little recap of. Did you see the Kyler Murray intentional grounding by the goal line where he just anyway, the play was there was two receivers just streaking wide open, running little drag routes in different layers, and pockets collapsing, and he's looking right at him and just spins out of it, goes backwards even more, and just dumps off the ball. Intentional grounding called 12-yard loss. And this is the kind of talent the Packers were playing against, and they had a claw to win that game. I mean, who else looked bad? Jordan Love looked bad. And that's kind of I think that people have crowned Jordan Love as this next big thing with this guru coach. And at the end of the day, like Jordan Love reminds me a lot of like a Caleb Williams progression where it's like, okay, you can get a good week and then you can get a bad one. But everyone's already said like Jordan Love's this great quarterback. I don't see it. I don't see it in Love. I think we've talked about that a little bit. And the fall from grace that the Packers can have even in a win is something that I think I kind of wanted to touch on. It's like that was a bad win. That was a win. You can come away with a win in the stat sheet and in the record and say like, I don't know if the Packers are for real, and I don't fear them when the Bears have to play them again.
Yeah, that's a game, based on what their expectations were, based on the first two games of the season. You limp away from Arizona with a win against that team by couple points, and the Cardinals actually had it wasn't even like a full Hail Mary at the end to win the game. Like they were at like the 35-yard line or something like that. Like, yeah, that's not the kind of thing that's not what you're looking for when you go to visit Arizona. Like good teams go to Arizona to beat them pretty soundly. So yeah, I mean, I've been saying for as long as I can. And again, a lot of it started as like they can't have another quarterback. They just can't. But it has turned into like, oh, okay, actually, I might have been right. Like my logic wasn't there, but it ended up being right because I don't think Jordan Love's a good quarterback. I really don't. Like as somebody who, after Joe Burrow got injured, I spent a lot of money on him on FOB and in a fantasy league. And I tried him out for a few weeks, and he has been just dog shit, just awful fantasy wise. So not that, NFL playing quarterback in the NFL versus fantasy football are not, exactly the same thing, but his stats have been bad and he doesn't look good. And the Packers offense outside of like Josh Jacobs looks fucking terrible, and maybe Tucker Kraft. But besides those two guys, like nobody else is like a bankable player on the Packers. And I heard some Packers fans telling me going into the season that one of the biggest things they were worried about is they don't not worried about, but mainly we were talking about fantasy. Like, I don't like drafting Packers receivers because they just have too many weapons. There's just like the ball's not going to go. The ball's going to go to all of them. So to that person, shout out. That was not right. Packer like that. Like Rome Odunze would be the best receiver on the Packers by a mile. Wouldn't even be close.
They just have depth of wide receiver threes. And that's kind of what they have. They have a bunch of them. Yeah. So, I mean, Jordan Love sucks. Love to see it. I'm not scared of the Packers, and that's a good thing to be able to say. That is a good thing to be able to say. And we'll see how that goes. What I wanted to talk about for a little bit is that Broncos-Giants game.
Yeah, wild.
That was a wild one. I landed on my flight home from Vegas, right around like 5:00 local time. So that game was going on, and I looked at the scores. I had a big bet on the Broncos, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." I think at the time, I think it was like 20-0. It was not good. So I was able to kind of the plane's taxiing. I turned the Wi-Fi on, and I'm streaming that game, and I'm like, "Oh man, this is going to be crazy." That was one of the wildest fourth quarters I've ever seen. Yeah. And I love that Broncos team. I don't like Sean Payton. I think he's a prick, but I do love Bo Nix, and I love that Broncos team for whatever reason. They're kind of my darlings. But that was one of the cooler comeback. Did you catch that game?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Red Zone, but the rest of the 3:00 slate sucked, so it was basically just that game.
Yeah.
And that was another close game actually. The Packers Cardinals, but that game sucked. It was just close. But that was those are the two games they were focusing on because the other two games were absolute poo. But it was crazy because the Broncos come all the way back, and then the Giants get that weird pass interference penalty that brings them all the way down, and Sean Payton freaks out and gets a penalty, and they go down to the goal line, and then the Giants score with 40 seconds left when it was 1st and goal from the 1. They could have just taken some more time, really just punched it in. I mean, obviously it's tricky because you need to score the touchdown. It's not necessarily a guarantee you're going to get it, but it was a pretty good chance if you scored with 40 seconds left. They only needed a field goal. So it was, or then they missed the extra point. That was the crazy part too. That was really the big thing. I forgot because that actually, now that I'm thinking about it, scoring with 40 seconds left, not the end of the world because you're assuming the extra point's going in. A field goal isn't going to beat you there. Had they known the extra point was going to get missed, I'm sure they wouldn't have. But just wild, just a crazy game. It just, every time it's okay, Giants have this in control. Oh shit, the Broncos took the lead. Oh, here we go. The Giants got the ball back. Oh, they missed the extra point. And the Broncos, and then as soon as that happens, okay, well, the Broncos are definitely winning this game. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. That was majestic. That you got to feel for the Giants kicker on that one, missing the extra point, but that wasn't his only missed extra point of the game either. Just a brutal showing. He missed 2 extra points, and that's kind of the game. I love that Giants dynamic. The dart. What did PMT call him? Timon and Pumbaa. Dude, I fucking love that. That's so right on. Just a couple of meathead dudes just rocking and rolling, slinging the ball around the ball.
I mean the Giants team. I mentioned when we were doing our preseason picks. Not that I picked the Giants to be a playoff team, but the Giants are they have drafted pretty well the past 2 or 3 years. They got some very solid players on defense. Jackson Darts looks like a dude. Obviously Malik Neighbors is out right now with the knee injury, but the team, there's some guys on this team. This team might be just a head coach away because I do think Brian Dable is being shown the door almost as soon as possible. They had a couple nice games, not enough to save that guy's job. He is not a good head coach. Go call plays somewhere. It's not for you, and that's okay.
And I couldn't agree more. This is Dable's 4th year, and he's just been trash among trash. Now, you got Dart in. Did you get Dart in the?
I think Drew might have.
Oh, Drew might have. Okay. I love Dart going to I didn't have any draft picks to get him, but but whatever. Not a big deal. But that game was a fun one to watch because I was unable to watch football for my entire flight, and then landed and got right into that one. It was great. Yeah,
that was a good one. Speaking of good ones, the Jets Panthers game. Did you catch any of that game?
God, that so actually, Nick, the funny part is I was able to stream the flight has the live TV option that you get, and the game on Fox was Jets. I was like, I'm going to take a fucking nap. I had a long day, and that's a rare thing to do, to just pass up on football. But that was holy shit.
Yeah, what was 13-6? I believe was the final score of that game. Yeah. Just an absolute snoozer. The Jets are so bad. The Jets are so goddamn bad. I mean, I just want to point out, nobody on this podcast, and I don't even really know if anybody in our group or our circles of friends necessarily, but there were people prior to last season's draft claiming that the Bears should trade the number 1 pick, trade back, draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and build around Justin Fields. I just want to point out that those people are fucking idiots, and Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. Nice guy, not a good quarterback. He just isn't. He loses games. He doesn't win. He's not good. He might be an okay fantasy player sometimes, but even games people act like Justin Fields is some fantasy god because he put up 4 good games once. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's not a good quarterback. He's not a good fantasy quarterback. He's not good. He turns the ball over. Every time I'm watching it, if I ever have the misfortune of having a Jets game on my TV and the Jets are down by a possession driving, I'm okay, here comes the Justin Fields strip sack. I know it's coming. It happens every time. Or bad interception. Justin Fields is not a good quarterback. And it might be a decent backup if he has if he can swallow his pride a little bit and do that, but he's not an NFL starter. He just isn't.
No, he's God, Geno Smith, Justin Fields. That's the bottom tier right now. And Justin, I mean, shit. Last week, what do they have? -10 passing yards, like as a statistic. That's
good.
in 9. Like holy shit.
Not good.
Sam was playing text the random stat of the day, and my favorite stat that he threw out from last week was, who's the last quarterback? Because Justin Fields got sacked for 9 times. And had negative passing yards. That was the end stat game. Who's the last quarterback that accomplished that feat?
I think I know the answer to that.
It was Justin Fields.
Against the Browns that game, yeah. Yeah, I remember that game.
Woof. That's not good company to be with when it's yourself. And you're putting that stat line up twice. So,
woof. Yeah,
I mean, we don't need to, beat on a dead horse, but it is kind of funny to see how bad the Jets really are.
So bad.
Really bad. A couple of injuries to call out too. We were kind of talking about this in the Jaden Daniels Caleb game from last week. Like, we do believe we got the right quarterback in the draft, and that might sound crazy to say, given that Jaden took the Commanders to the NFC Championship game last year. But one of the things that we were talking about was, hey, this guy's hurt already this season, and last game, this previous week, he got lifted, and again, it was late and they were getting blown out, but he got lifted with a hamstring injury. And these are the kind of things that I think the fortune is kind of on the walls. Like, you get a scrawny guy that's just running every play, fighting for his life, trying to extend stuff, and he's taking those hits. Injuries are going to be kind of predictable, and so I don't want to see Jaden Daniels turn into the next RG3, right? But I kind of do. Is that rude to say? Like, I kind of want to make sure that this doesn't become, hey, we missed out on Jaden Daniels. If anyone at this point, the guy of the draft so far is looks like Drake May. I don't know if you saw any of that Patriots game. Again, they were playing the Titans, so nothing to write home about. But he's been throwing some fucking darts. Yeah,
I don't think it's. I mean, I don't think it's terrible to hope that Jaden Daniels has a bad career, because we want, we don't want people. We live through the Mitch Patrick Mahomes, which is about as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
And I'm actually. I wish I didn't say that out loud, because I actually hadn't heard that in a while. But it is something we did have to live with for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we don't talk about the Patriots Titans game, because Patriots lot, Titans very little. Bad team versus good team situation there. But yeah, Drake May is the guy that he was my first ever pick in the Dynasty League. So he's my quarterback that I have building my Dynasty team around. And it worked out really well for me, because I would have taken Caleb or Jaden Daniels over, if I had him, but I had the 4th pick or whatever in the draft, and I ended up with Drake May, which I am thrilled right now about. He is playing out of his mind. His completion percentage is like north of 70% on the season. It just feels like every time Red Zone would go back to the Patriots game, it's like another touchdown from Drake May. It's like, God damn, dude. Yeah. So, Jaden Daniels, I don't even I think he'll be fine, but I also think that Drake May is the guy we got to worry about in that sense, because he's unbelievable. But to be fair, I mean, the Bears fired Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace with another 2 guys named Matt and Ryan, and they couldn't draft another quarterback that's number 10 from North Carolina. They just couldn't do it. Like, there's no way that was going to happen. So there's a little solace and be like, I don't care if Drake May was like the consensus number 1. The Bears would have probably traded out of that. Like, there's no way they were going to go down that road. Like, basically the same guy. So better.
A witch's hex would have been cast upon the Bears organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
One last kind of bummer injury, because I like this guy a lot, and it just happened tonight. But Mike Evans broke his collarbone on Monday night, and that's you hate to see that. You hate to see that, especially for this Bucs team, which is a lot of fun. But Mike Evans getting older. One of those injuries is going to put him on the shelf for a long time, and that's another weapon out of the arsenal. But hey, great! You got Egbuka, right, in the Dynasty League? So,
I do. Yeah.
I mean, listen, look at your team's going to be pointing up in that Dynasty League for years to come. I have a feeling.
Yeah, well, not this week or this year, but yes.
Well, not this year, maybe, but soon.
I'm like 3 or 4 solid picks away from being a decent team in our league. Also, Sam scores 250 points a week, so I don't know nobody can beat that.
There's no reason to even compete this year. He's literally putting up 250 a week. Like, it's the best team of all time that's ever been assembled, and I say that with
you're a pretty good, damn good team too.
Well, it's a hard, in a dynasty league, it sucks to have a good team when you're going against the juggernaut like that. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What is he at right now? He's at 275. Sorry, excuse me, 275 points this week.
Jesus Christ.
Just an unbelievable roster. Everybody went fucking nuclear this week too.
You know who didn't though was Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon put like 4.5 points and he still put up 275. So go fucking crazy.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else that you wanted to touch on around the league? I made that short unintentionally. I don't know. I didn't see anything else really pop out.
Let me think. Who played last night? It was the I don't even remember. It was I think it wasn't anything. I feel like that game wasn't great last night.
I'm missing out on that too, but then again I was coming back from
it was the Falcons 49ers. It was Falcons. Falcons didn't do anything. So yeah, honestly, nothing really I think we touched all the big stuff, and then there were some bad games that happened. Like, no need.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's go into our favorite segment of all the segments. We'll go into our podium list. Before we do that, podium list this week is brought to you by, and proudly fueled by, the Fizz of Glen Rock Pop, Lake County's legendary soda revival. Crafted with pure cane sugar, poured into classic glass bottles, and bursting with nostalgic flavor, Glen Rock is more than a drink. It's a hometown icon. Whether you're sipping on orange, cream soda, or my personal MVP, the all-new lime, Glen Rock is bringing joy back to every corner of Lake County. Want to catch their pop-up trailer in action? Follow Glen Rock Pop on Facebook for the latest event stops. Ready to stock up? Well, then head on over to glenrockpop.com to find retailers near you. From tailgates to game days, Glen Rock Pop is the ultimate sideline sip. Don't just drink, celebrate. So let's mosey on over into our podium list. I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of go back and forth, you and me, and then we'll let Drew fill in from there. What do you think?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay. That sounds like a good deal. We're in October. It's a night. Damn, dude. I woke up today and I think it was like 40 degrees out. It was like the first time I woke up in bed. I was like, ooh, this is nice and crisp fall day. And
I walked downstairs today. It was like 61 degrees in my house. I'm like, oh boy, I guess got to turn the heat on.
Yep. Same. I was like, what? I was like, shit, hopefully my kids aren't frozen. I fucked that up. I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah, same.
But they were bundled up under multiple blankets. I'm not a terrible father, I promise. But yeah, no, listen, you get that and your Halloween's right around the corner. Last podium list, we did Halloween candy. We're going to kind of milk that a little bit. We're going to go into our favorite Halloween movies. We love movies on the pod too. We'll put the best of both worlds together. So, Nick, how about you start us off with your gold pick of favorite Halloween movie? Yeah,
so I do love movies, but I will tell you that one blind spot I have for movies is horror movies. I'm not a horror guy.
Right
horror
on.
Is not up my alley. I get too scared of horror movies, so I don't like that. But there are plenty of Halloween movies out there that aren't horror related.
Correct.
So I am happy to take a movie that I think is slightly overrated in the grand scheme of things because people love it so much. But I do think it's still a good movie, kind of before its time. I'll take Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas as my 1-1 pick right here.
That's great. And that's one that's fun for the kids too. As the kids get a little older.
Yeah.
Did you watch it with them?
Yep.
Does he love it?
Yeah, they were into it. It was cool. It was fun.
Good.
I thought it might be a little spooky for him, but they didn't care, so it was good.
My brother and his family, he has 2 young boys, 8 to 11 to 12 range. I should know their age. Admitting that I don't, but they're in that range, right? And they got 2 of them there. And so my brother went to the Home Depot a couple of years ago, got that like 15-foot Jack Skellington thing in his yard. Yep. And we went there last year to carve some pumpkins and all that stuff. And Tessa was absolutely obsessed with it, like in love with it. She could not believe that. And so they've watched it. Tessa loves it. So
nice.
That's in on our family's rotation of movies too now.
Good.
So that's a great pick. I love it. It is a good one, especially if you have kids, because you're right, man. Some of those horror movies just get a little too crazy. However, I do love horror movies. But I'm going to keep one with, just plain and simple, stay within the guidelines. And I do love slasher movies too. So I'm going to go with Halloween. Halloween for a Halloween movie. You get your Mike Myers fix. I think there's been 20,000 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I remember one time, and I was at Drew's probably in high school. Maybe it was post high school. We'll go with this. Whenever weed was legal is when I did this at Drew's house in his parents' basement, right? And we got a little high, and we watched Halloween H2O with I was at Busta Rhymes. It was someone extra. And we watched the opening clip and thought that the entire, and then it came with like the opening credit scene. I think the opening scene was probably like 5 minutes long. We're like, fuck, I thought that was the whole movie, dude. And like we were just going nuts. We were going nuts. But I do love the Halloween movies. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's so funny. Yeah, way too scary for me. So I did not ever see any of the Halloween movies. But obviously, Halloween movie makes sense. I think that's a great pick. I think that probably would have been the first slasher movie off the board, and regardless of who was here. So yeah, that's a good pick. I think. I assume that's probably the movie people most associate with Halloween.
It's kind of in the title.
Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. So you just want to go alternate? Do you want to snake it or anything?
We'll go back and forth.
Wonderful, because just again to show you how my brain works with movies around the holidays, the first movie that came to my head when you said Halloween movies was actually this one. I'm going to go with an old classic from when we were kids. I'm going to go with Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, yes.
Hocus Pocus. Not scary at all. And I watched it when I was a kid. And that's kind of how most of my Christmas or my Halloween movies are. Just not scary things that I can watch and not be afraid of. So Hocus Pocus.
I don't blame you. I mean, that's Hocus Pocus 2 actually was not bad.
That came out like last year or something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, for sure. I wasn't a huge Hocus Pocus fan like growing up, but since being married and with children, I've watched it, and it's incredibly enjoyable. I like the theme that you're going with too. Just keep it so you can keep the lights off when you go to sleep. We don't need to be scared.
I'll tell you, when I was in high school, a girl I was hanging out with at the time, she was like into scary movies and haunted houses and all that stuff. Like not like creepily into it, but like she enjoyed it like a normal person does. And we went to see what was it? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Oh,
when we were in high school.
Yikes.
And yeah, I don't think I slept for like a week. It was awful. Like I just didn't do it. I can't do it.
Can't do it. I saw that at the Yorktown Mall with a couple of buddies. Drew was one of them as well. So he was on this one too. And we were not old enough to actually see it in theaters. So we snuck in. We bought tickets to another movie, snuck into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was a fucking mistake. Yeah. I couldn't sleep for a week. I could not sleep for a week because I'd never seen anything like that. I'd never seen anything like that at that point. So
I legitimately for like a month thought that like, sorry, we're talking about a different movie right now, but for the opening, like the cold open of that movie or whatever, where they showed, or maybe it was like the end of the movie where they like made it like this is a real thing that he was never caught or whatever. I was like, I'm gonna die. That's not far from here.
Yeah,
because it said he like was in Wisconsin, I think. I know the movie takes place in Texas, but he went to Wisconsin, I think. So, well, he's gonna come find me. I'm gonna die. So good.
Yeah, and I think that was my first like experience. I don't know if that was true. I was not right, but like I didn't know. I took it. I was like, yeah, we're dead. Yeah. Everyone's dead. I mean, my face is gonna get ripped off, and he's gonna wear like it was no bueno. So yeah. But anyway, Hocus Pocus did not make me feel that scared.
Yes,
and that made me feel warm and cuddly and good. So I love that pick. We love that pick. I will say this though, one of my favorite genres of movies are horror movies, and Margaret is in the same boat with me on that. We love to, and I'm really a wuss when it comes to horror movies. I don't know if like it's like a joy in the suffering of it, because I still can't sleep if I see a good horror movie to this day. Like we just saw The Conjuring, the latest Conjuring in theaters, and I was like, oh fuck, like you get the demons in there. I can take the slashers at this point. The demon stuff still just fucking gets me. So I don't know. All that to say, I do love these horror movies, so I'm going to keep mine more on the dark side in the scary side. The first movie that I ever saw that made me really not able to sleep for a prolonged period of time was the Freddy Krueger franchises and Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm going to rock with those because those scared me to the bone. I think I was like 12 or 13. I had 2 older brothers and an older sister. And so they rented that from Blockbuster, like, yo, Jason, come out and watch this with us. I was like, cool, I'm part of the cool kids. I'm older. Huge fucking mistake because I couldn't sleep because when you sleep, that's where you get got. And it was bad for like literally a month where I was like 12 or 13 and I was like telling my mom and dad, like, yo, like I need a fucking nightlight or something. Like I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I guess I loved it. It stuck because I keep on doing that to myself now that I'm 37 and I still can't sleep after seeing a good horror movie. But hey, in the spirit of Halloween movies, like I will always rewatch and now it's the more recent ones because those more recent ones, I don't know if you've ever seen them, Nick. Very gory, very, I think, well done. And it scares the shit out of me. So
yeah. I mean, slasher movies, like the jump scares and stuff like that, they still get you. But like, I don't have a problem with like the blood and the gore so much as I just like the psychological stuff. Like I watched the movie It when I was a kid at my cousin's house. But it just fucked me up. As everybody, I feel like everybody has a story where you see that and you look back at it now and it's really not, it's cheaply made. It's like made for TV, but it still freaked me out. So anyway, all right, I'm going to take for my last pick. You know what? I'm just going to kind of keep going with what I've been doing. This is a super cheesy made for Disney movie, but I'm going to take it because it's in my family's Halloween rotation now. We just watched it recently. I'm going to go with Halloween Town.
There you
I
go.
don't know if you remember Halloween Town, but that's a movie that I've seen many times. It's on my family's rotation. Just watched it, and Halloween Town.
I love it. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen it. So maybe is that one that I could watch with the kids?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's a Disney Channel like original movie from like when we were kids. Maybe we might have been a little old for it when it came out, but like it's definitely like made for kids. It's my kids have no problem with it.
See, this is good because I'm gonna be watching, especially with 11 days to go until Halloween. This is what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna take your exact list, watch it with the kids, have some popcorn, feel good, and sleep well. And maybe this is the year where I don't go through my normal, absolute terrifying actual horror movies list for Halloween. Maybe I might have already hit that quota by losing 2 nights of sleep by seeing The Conjuring 2, or not the 2, the most recent one. So I dig it. I'll report back on the next show because I will have watched Halloween Time by then for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Why don't you finish us off then?
Yeah, I'll run this out. I think one of my favorite like cult movie collections is Evil Dead, and like Ash versus Evil Dead, and then the remakes are really terrible. Like they're pretty fucked up. I'm not gonna lie, but I love those movies a lot. That's straight to the demons and the intense gore stuff, and I don't know why but I love it. I love it. So Evil Dead and that whole franchise, I'm gonna put up there as well. Not much really to go in on that. I don't know. Did you ever catch those out?
Nope, I have not. I mean, obviously they made a million of those, so I know that they're good. Is that the one that is that the franchise that what's the director? Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah. So I know that they've made a lot of those movies. So
the old ones are like fun. They're kind of scary, but they're supposed to be like, so out there and over the top that they're fun. And they do a good job of that. The remakes are straight fucking chilling, like to the bone. Like I was like, holy dick. If you want to keep it on the lighter side, the original ones are lighter in quotes, but the more recent ones are really to the bone. You'll feel them when you sleep again. So I know obviously Drew, Nick wasn't able to do this. We'll just have him pick 3 and put them up there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Honestly, I don't think there's any kind of unfair advantage because I basically took 3 kids movies, so I think that he'll have his pick of whatever.
I think you're right. There's plenty more traditional ones out there, but I think your list is going to do very well on the voting section of this because they're very, very good.
There's definitely going to be like a. There's no like crossover between our picks. Like usually there's like some crossover. Like usually like there's like someone's got to really pick like what they like more. It's like this time it's like, okay, do I like am I a child or do I like child movies or am I an adult and can I watch a movie and not lose a month of sleep from it? So
yeah. I would maybe Drew will blend us in a little bit.
Yeah, he might.
Soften the edges.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, let's round out the show too. You got any closing thoughts for this week, Nick?
Yeah, we talked a lot about playoff baseball a few weeks ago when the Cubs were in, and we're still in the playoffs. Obviously, they lost in the NLDS in 5, but just wanted to say, I don't know if you guys saw. I don't know, Jay. I don't know if you saw, but the Blue Jays came back and they won Game 7 today. So the Blue Jays are going to be in the World Series against the Dodgers. And I think this is one of those situations where it's the entire world against the Dodgers. So I guess go Blue Jays. I'll be watching. Yeah, I'll check it out. Unless it's like, Dodgers up 3-0, then I'll probably not watch Game 4. But yeah, I mean, the playoffs have been fun. Like, a couple Game 5s, got a Game 7 ALCS. Like, that's fun stuff. Like, Game 4 or Game 6 in the ALCS. Like, Eugenio Suarez hit a grand slam in the 8th inning to basically send it to Game 7, which is awesome. Like it's fun baseball.
It is fun. I've been watching this postseason a lot more than previous postseasons. And a lot of it's because the Dodgers too, just hoping to see them lose. But I really love the AL kind of race and seeing it's not the Yankees, it's not the Red Sox, it's not the Astros. We got some fresh blood in there.
Yeah.
And whoever won that, like, what a great Game 7 too, 4-3 final score. It was awesome. It was a very
3-run home run in like the 7th inning, I think, or something like that. Like, just awesome game.
Yeah. And my work contacts is headquartered out of Toronto. So there's a lot of folks and coworkers that are super happy. They kind of show up and love to kind of turn in when the Blue Jays are doing well. The Raptors from a handful of years ago too. So they're going to be happy. It'll be fun to be able to talk with them tomorrow. So I was kind of rooting a little bit for Seattle. I think that would have been fun, but whoever came out of there, as long as I can stay competitive with the Dodgers, ideally win, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be great. Agreed. Yeah. Also, fuck you Brewers fans. You guys suck.
Nah. It's a fuck you, Paul. We got it in there right at the buzzer.
Also, one particular Brewers fan.
No, right on. Baseball, October, it's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna close this out with some thoughts from last week. My closing thoughts were about my bunk beds for the kids and how Tessa and Georgia Tessa was coming out of the crib in the bunk bed with Georgia, and their first like 3 days in it were really good. Tessa would kind of come out and kind of run around. She had the freedom out of the crib for the first time. So that was, you got to expect that. Yeah. What happens. And then it started getting progressively worse and worse and worse. And so like the last time I think I might've said like, Tessa got a Sharpie. She started coloring all over the walls and the bed and everything. But it wasn't that bad. It was very isolated. It was easily removable with like some nail polish removal, all that. And so, we did what you would normally do. Like, how the hell did you get a Sharpie? Okay, let's take all the Sharpies, all the markers, all that stuff, and make sure that, she's not able to get them in the room or easily accessible. And I found out the other night that Georgia had teamed up with Tessa and hid one of the Sharpies somewhere. And so last night, and again, this is coming home from Vegas, I was not at 100%. I wasn't at 50%. I was at 0. And so we put them to bed at like 8:30, and Tessa was just kind of stomping around. And we're like, all right, we're just going to let her kind of do her thing in there for a little bit. She'll knock herself out. It'll be fine. And so Georgia came down, climbed down her steps, came to the room and said, Mom, Dad, Georgia colored my face with Sharpie. Because Georgia was asleep. She found a Sharpie and just started literally going everywhere, Nick.
Oh, no.
Everywhere in that room. The bed, the sheets, the windows, the dresser, Sharpie everywhere. Because she'd been unattended for like an hour. We're like, we'll let it. Yeah. She'll tire herself out.
Oh no!
And so Georgia's crying. She's like, in her face was Sharpied. Like it was like the your friend passes out in college and you write, and that's kind of what it turned out to be. And it was like, oh my God. So that being said, Tessa's back in the crib as of last night, and this night, that's where she's currently resting. I was like, what?
Oh, man.
He's going to, but it was, you got to be like, I mean, what are you going to do? You got to take that shit in stride and I don't know, buy cheap furniture or get it second down until they're a little bit older, maybe. I don't know, but it was pretty. I'll send you some pictures because it's an absolute war scene in there.
Oh, man.
You can only laugh.
So you guys are like in bed after a Vegas weekend, Sunday night.
Yeah.
And at like 9 o'clock, 9:30, whatever it is, you guys are halfway asleep. You guys get not woken up, but like come into your room saying, there's Sharpie all over my face. How long does that take to get off?
It took a long time.
Because you can't go to bed till that's done.
No.
Like you can't let her. That's not a morning thing. Like you got to get that done now.
No, it was a get it done now situation. Hats off, Margaret did that. So that is the whole world. I owe her a lot of favors because that was like, it's like your dog gets skunked. It's like it's a night ruining thing. So like we got to bed at like 11:30. And it was brutal. And you know what the worst part was is we couldn't find where the Sharpie was. Like I couldn't find it. There. I found it this morning. It was like really nestled into like the comforters without a cap. So like everything's just everything's just shredded. We're like, you know what? We'll get to everything but George's face at another time.
Yeah, no, for sure. That was the right move. Like, getting Sharpie off of a face is not easy. So at 10 o'clock at night, like everything else is a tomorrow or maybe even like a next weekend problem.
That might be a next week. we came back and we had the full day of work, still kind of like hungover today. You know, it was like one of those 2-day kind of hangovers, and it was like a lot to catch up on. We're like, no, I'm not going to do it. So fun. Also, it's a fun story.
Also, just like, you know, being hungover with kids is just the worst thing in the world. It's just the worst. Like when you like, and not just like that the kids are driving you nuts, but like being hungover and having people depend on you for everything is just, oh God, it's just, So I feel for you guys. I really do. That sucks.
Yeah, I'll send some pictures out. Maybe we might even post some pictures on the pod, on the pod social to see what we were working with there. So, yeah. But hey, I'll tell you what, Nick, let's wrap this one up.
Yeah.
For the folks that are listening, that'll do it for us here at Barely Qualified. For Drew Bailey, for Nick Lavers, I'm Jason Maxwell. And as always, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you for listening to the Barely Qualified podcast. Like, comment, subscribe for more on a bi-weekly basis.